Good morning, fellow Toastmasters. I hereby call this meeting of Lakeberry Toastmasters Club 6440 to order. Before we begin, please silence your cell phones. I would like to ask everyone to please stand for the Pledge of Allegiance, followed by a moment of silence. I
pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you. Please be seated. Our club mission is to provide a supportive learning environment through which members feel empowered to become better public speakers by developing their confident communication and leadership skills. This morning I would like to introduce our Toastmaster, Mr. Ernst. Mr. Ernst.
Anybody who can pronounce, whatever, can pronounce their band check. Good morning, fellow Toastmasters. We don't have any guests. Let me just straighten out a little bit about the agenda. We are missing our Grammarian, who said he's going to be here. He texted me last night at 10 o'clock or 11 o'clock with his word of the day, which I couldn't have put into the agenda. But honestly, I didn't understand what he meant by that. But anyway, let me see how we're going to do this. Otherwise, maybe Stephen, do you want to do the Grammarian, please, or anybody else wants to step up?
Yeah.
Okay. I would appreciate it. Thank you so much.
Do you have the word?
Thanks.
No, you make up the word. He said he's here. Anyways,
Well, I-4 is a bear this morning.
Oh, yeah.
It was backed up really bad.
Yeah. But he doesn't have to come from my
Oh, okay.
Who is it?
Same.
Same man.
in regards to the speaker number one, Devin, his subject I didn't have last night was check your source. That's his subject. You may want to write it in the agenda. Check your source. Speaker number two, Stacy backed out because she has allergies, and we put Julia in her place. However, she will actually be third because she's receiving an award from Alexandra in speech number 3. So Alexandra is going to be number 2, Julia number 3, and she thanks everybody about the award. So as far as the evaluators is concerned, that stays the same. The evaluator 1 is Lori, 2 is Shayne Jasper, which will be Julia. Oh, that will be Alexandra, and then of course number 3 will be Julia Kaufman by Martin. Was that correct?
All right, so who's about
Is everybody confused?
Shayne is evaluating you. Okay.
Yes.
Do we have the order today, Stephen? Or
Martin Bell is evaluating.
Okay, so just slide your sheets down again.
How much time does Julia have?
5 and 7.
Do you have any words today I can put in, or?
Cluster.
Chortled. Use chortled. Needs to laugh or giggle.
I can put chortle down as a word if that's what you want.
Oh.
Don't listen to Shayne.
Huh? Sure.
Trying to help out.
Because we've got the great example of it as well.
Oh.
What's the name?
Well, for word of the day then, since Shayne has offered it, we can use chortle.
What is that?
It is
How do you spell it?
C-H-O-R-T-L-E.
C-H-O-R-T-L-E. Chortle, what is it?
Synonyms will be laugh.
Oh.
It's usually a laugh that tends to be coming out of the throat. And you'll have heard it in certain cases, like when you're laughing at something that suddenly struck you as funny is also ironic at the same time, almost.
Just like that.
Not the same thing as chuckle, it's a bit louder, but they're all essentially synonyms of one another. because as I'm sure quite well know, when Shayne heard the news about Fidel Castro, he chortled quite well for everybody to hear. And as Grammarian, I'll also be listening to your use of the English language. You have the opportunity to speak. Everyone here except for Devin, since he's giving his icebreaker. You have the opportunity. Oh, you're two? Okay, you have to pay up too. Then you have the chance to speak, which everyone should today, find a way to use the word or pay up to 25 cents. And I'll be reporting general evaluator at the end of the meeting.
Thank you. The theme of today's meeting is Fidel Castro, who died 3 days ago, and many of the younger folks may not have known much about him or the history, and therefore I just want to give you a little information. If you read or listened to the benevolent utterance, I think chortle would be the correct word, of President Obama to the Cuban people regarding regarding his death, or that of Prime Minister of Canada's Justin Trudeau, or some of the left-wing media, you would not think that these words were meant to be for one of the world's biggest thug, despot, and known communist dictator, Fidel Castro, an individual who imprisoned his people for 50 years at deplorable poverty level and with no opportunity to better themselves, and also to kill up to 100,000 people, did not deserve these kind words uttered by some of our leaders. Many Cubans died trying to escape and cross the short distance of ocean. Some with an upside-down kitchen table or a wood plank, crossing the 228 miles between Havana, Cuba, and the United States to seek refuge. Per the Wall Street Journal article, and it can be located at Counting Castro's Victims, which gives an accurate answer based on the work of Professor Armando Lago. The number of his victims were anywhere between 10,000 and likely 100,000, committed by El Comandante, what the Cuban people call him. Now it gives me the great pleasure to introduce the technical table, starting with our archon, the macaron.
I'll take it. As archon, it is my function to listen for the use of filler words such as you know, so, okay, and other audible pauses as fillers. I will be noting if members perform any double clutches, which means to say things twice, such as this means, this means. Finally, I will also include things which might be distracting, such as lip smacks. I will present my report during the evaluation portion of the meeting. Thank you, Ernst.
Ask our timer, Marty Simon, to explain what his function is.
Explain what time is, that's speaker.
I know.
Well, it is to time the speakers, evaluators, and table topic participants to ensure they meet the timing requirements. I'll demonstrate the timing lights, which will be displayed as follows. Each of you has a different time allotment, as well as the table topics and the evaluator, so I'm not going to bludgeon you with the various times. When you hit your first mark, I will throw the green. Your second mark in the middle of it will be the yellow. And when it's time for the hook, throw the red up there, and I will hold the red. And I will report my findings at the end of the meeting.
As a Grammarian, you want to explain one more time? Or did you
I already did it.
Okay, great. Thank you very much. It now gives me the great pleasure to introduce our speaker number one, Devin Martin, who's speaking from the Confident Communicator Manual number 2, Organize Your Speech, Strong Opening and Conclusions, outline that can be followed and understood. Clear message with supporting materials, appropriate transitions. Check your source is the title of his speech. Thank you, Devin.
Good morning, everybody.
Morning.
So I was struggling thinking of a topic for this because it's my second speech. I figured pick something that was interesting to me right now. And it made me reflect on something I learned back in high school and in middle school, elementary school. Does everybody remember when you had to write a paper, you had to go very last page and cite your sources? Remember that? It's very tedious. You had to be meticulous and precise with your information, right? And I wondered back then, why do I have to do this? Is there any point to it at all? In recent times, I'm learning how much more important that source truly is. Recent news, Google, Facebook, and other digital media outlets have decided to declare war on fake news sites. What is fake news? Well, in the last year during the election, I'm pretty sure all of you have been on Facebook. You've seen some fantastic bits of journalism, such as, and I'll just quote a few here, Clinton sells guns to ISIS. Or another one, FBI agents suspect in Hillary Clinton email leaks found dead in apparent murder-suicide. These articles brought forth hundreds of thousands of reshares, millions of views, became rampant. Misinformation. To the point where now they've decided they're going to shut down this operation. Now, as this news was going on, I do NPR every morning. They actually had a fantastic and fascinating interview with a man named John Jensen. So they were doing some investigative journalism. They were looking up who's making this stuff. Why are they making this stuff? And they end up doing some scrubs on the back end of a website. They get a guy's address. They go find him. Lives in the suburbs in California. 40-year-old guy. And when they ask, hey, can we have an interview? He's like, no, and shuts the door on their face. Until they come back, and he says, you know what, I gotta tell the story because it's important. So when they were interviewing, they asked, why did you do this? Why did you make stuff up? And he said, well, honestly, it was because I could. And I wanted to show how easy it was. And then she asked, well, now the election's over, spreading this stuff on social media is not as important anymore. He's like, well, it's not, but I'm making a living doing it now. She asked. So they said, our research says between $10,000 and $30,000 a month on advertising revenue from these sites. And he said, oh, I fall well within that mark. And there are others making far more than that. $360,000 a year just to make some stuff up. I might do it too. It's a lucrative business. Now, thankfully, Facebook, Google, they're putting the axe on it if there's poorly sourced material or of that of like the National Enquirers, the poor information. They're going to shut it down. That's good. But then it got me thinking, well, if that's just outright lies, how well is our major news media doing? The answer is not great. And you always think you're going to take stuff with a grain of salt. You're going to say, okay, well, they have their biases, they're big businesses, they're going to have a slight sway one way or another. That sway is not so slight, that grain of salt is more like a boulder. I went on another site that I actually like, PolitiFact. It's an independent news media site. If you hear who's fact-checking the debate tonight, these are the people that do it. They go, they source their material, and they put a fun presentation on it, which is their bit of opinionated stuff. The truth meter, which it ranges from true, mostly true, half true, mostly false, false, and my personal favorite, pants on fire. That's along the lines of the Pope is a secret alien taking over the world, that kind of stuff. Now, they recently, in the last few years, have been actually taking pundits and the employees of these major organizations, and they've been giving them a scorecard and saying, okay, how are they doing? Not the people that are coming onto the programs, but people that work for these businesses. And I was really upset. It was really disappointing to see these numbers. So I'm going to give you the percentage for these organizations where it is between mostly false and pants on fire. ABC, 25%. 1 in 4 times they tell you something, it's misinformation. or just outright wrong. CNN, also 25%. And NBC, MSNBC, 41% based on their findings. And of course, the Mac Daddy of misinformation, Fox News, 59% of the information they share. It's just not right. More than half the time, beyond a failing grade. Which brings me to my point. You have to check your source. You have to do your research. We are in the age of information. I can find anything I want in the palm of my hand. And it's just too easy to ignore. It's too easy to just let it slide by and take it at face value. Was it anecdotal? Was it researched? Was it just testimony? Look into where your information comes from. This quote I saw on the internet, and most of the time when people try to be profound, they're well infantile, and they seem a little childish. But this one seemed appropriate. By Anonymous, in the age of information, ignorance is a choice. Mr. Toastmaster.
Time of 1 minute, please.
You got it.
Anybody have an extra?
Really should. Oh, there you go.
Plenty of chairs. I want to save this for another time.
Thank you, Marty. Our next speaker will be Alexandra. She's speaking from the Special Occasion Speeches Manual, 2008/07. Subject number 4, presenting an award, 3 to 4 minutes, presenting an award with dignity and praise, acknowledge the contribution of the recipient. Then it will be the influential Toastmaster 2016 award presentation. She's going to give this to Julia Kaufman, and Julia will then thank her, and that she'll be then graded by Martin Bell for the award. Right, Sandra? Okay.
Good morning.
Morning.
Fellow Toastmasters and guests, welcome the influential Toastmaster 2016 ceremony. This year, influential Toastmaster was chosen for several reasons. Library Toastmasters recognize the one member whose work, dedication, and passion has helped move our club forward. This selection process wasn't easy. We have so many members with impeccable public speaking skills as well as leadership skills. And identifying one person who most deserved this award was extremely difficult. This year, most influential Toastmaster was chosen for the following reasons. Not only this person has big dreams and big visions, she knows how to get the job done. As well, she does an amazing job communicating her visions and goals to the club, to the team. She listens and always keeps her cool. I never seen this member chortle. She's always genuine. This member always welcomes contributions from each member. Her interpersonal skills are second to none. Her evaluations are always inspirational, and she gets every member excited and looking forward to continue on this journey. Personally speaking, I have to tell about this member's evaluation. On my icebreaker, I was about to quit. However, I got her evaluation and she said that I had the entire audience in my hands and I did a great job. I was okay, wow, let me continue. I went half through the manuals and process, project number 5, and I'm thinking to myself, I cannot continue doing that. It's embarrassing, I want to quit. Well, I got her evaluation that day and she said, your words are so vivid. I love your speech. And you know what? I said, well, maybe she saw something. Let me continue. Here I am today, project number 9. She told me, you're such a pro. Well done. And here I am today, 3 years later, thanks to that member. That's really, really inspirational. She helped me continue on this journey. I'm very grateful for that. She fosters a culture of trust. She's an expert communicator and leader. She ensures everyone is supported and feel comfortable. And finally, her enthusiasm, positive attitude, and drive are just contagious. Fellow Toastmasters, please join me in honoring the influential Toastmaster 2016 to distinguished Toastmaster Julia Kaufman. Appreciation of the late Mary Toastmasters, gratitude to your contributions to this team.
Aw, thank you.
Hey. Thank you. Give me 1 minute, please.
Oh.
Mr. Timer, 1 minute. Okay, Marty, it now gives me the great pleasure to introduce the award winner for the 2016 Toastmaster Award. Julia Kaufman to give her presentation.
Thank you, Ernst.
This is
You made my day. This is really cool. When you told me about your project, I'm like, gosh, I hate getting up here and being the focus of attention, but I'm really proud of this. I know it's a project, but I know it came from your heart. What impressed me the most is that you kept all the informal evaluations that I gave you 3 years later. And I think that's the power of Toastmasters, that not only are we supporting each other, we have impact on each other's lives. And we don't even realize it. I had no idea that you kept those evaluations, and it means so much to me that you did, and that it meant something to you. They are sincere. Every evaluation I give is always sincere. I think that's what we appreciate from each other, is that the sincerity.
And everyone has different perspectives. Sometimes someone might tell you you did a great job, and others might be a little bit more critical of it. And you take all of that feedback, and it helps you grow and become stronger in your presentation skills, your confidence, whatever it is that you're here for. Those informal evaluations helps me grow into a person of, I live through everybody. I see your struggles, and I can relate a lot of times to them, or I can relate, I'm happy to see you succeed, and you feel that. I think that's why 12 years later, I think it's now 13, I'm still here, because everybody in this room has impacted me in some way, and you just don't sometimes realize that. Sometimes more often, we work together, like Lori and Teryl I work with, and Stephany, we go back many years and have shared a lot of fun and tears and all of that. And it just enriches your life. So I know this is a project, but it means a lot. And you know I'm a mush, so I'm not going to talk anymore because I will get teary-eyed, but I just want to say to each and every one of you that you guys do mean a lot to me. So thank you.
Final 1 minute, please. Thank you, Mr. Timer. We are well ahead of our time. In fact, we either have 15 minutes of table topics or 10 minutes, but I can give a little bit more about Cuba before we go into table topics. Cuba, also known as the prison of the Caribbean. The only way out is to risk your life to escape. Castro also carried the honorary title of the Stalin of the Caribbean. Almost caused an atomic war between the United States and Russia, were it not for the severe action of John F. Kennedy to blockade the island. Cuba has some positive accomplishments, such as a free healthcare system. I'm sure you have heard that in some of the videos, which are, what's his name? You made a video about it. That, of course, is easily done by confiscating or paying harbor wages to its people. Most of the people on the island make about $30 per month. The healthcare system is supposed to be so good that besides food, medicine is the most shipped product to the island by relatives living in the United States. That's how it is. Huh? Medicine.
Never mind, I got it.
Medicine is the most shit product. Shit.
Forget it.
Shit. I'm sorry.
It's called a Freudian slip.
Yes. So that shows how good the healthcare system is. This is the real story about Fidel Castro. Now you may want, not what you may have heard from our leaders or the media just in the recent days. I have to chortle when I listen to these statements. He and his ruling elites are living in riches, all the others are hostages in their own country. Now, it's time for table topics. I'm going to ask Junior Kaufman to please come up.
get to hear that impromptu feedback on questions, usually theme related. Some are going to be themed, and I think I'm going to take it off topic a little bit as well. Sources. Teryl is a communications director at Scholastic. So Teryl, tell me about what you think about sources and how important they are, and in the general news on how do you figure out what to believe and what not to believe, and in general about how do you find your source material.
Thank you, Madam Tabletop Toastmaster, fellow Toastmasters. As a communications professional and a former journalist, sources are incredibly important to me, especially in this day and age where we have access to so many types of sources for our information. I find a lot of what's quoted and reiterated and shared on, in particular, social media, which is a newfound passion of mine, is not sourced, and a lot of people take credit for ideas that don't belong to them. And as someone who is also a graduate major who did a thesis, I believe that sources and giving someone credit for the work that they do is immensely important. Nobody wants their ideas stolen, everybody wants credit for the good work that they do. In response to the second part of your question, which I've completely forgotten now, which was,
How do you find your source
oh,
material?
how do you verify information in the news? I think you just have to double check myriad types of sources. So you can't rely on just one media outlet or one source. I think you have to be willing to do multiple types of research and not to take things at face value based on the first thing that you see or hear. Thank you.
All right, thanks, Teryl. Let's hear a couple perspectives about Cuba, the history of it, what you know about it, and what you think now. James.
I'm glad you asked me that question.
Sure you are.
What I hear about Cuba and what I know about Cuba and what I think now, I think Cuba has been a place where it's been completely, almost in the Iron Age, or should I say the whole age, prehistoric, and now they're finally coming out to where we are now. I feel sorry for those people over there because they were under a dictatorship versus where we are here. And I know that in 1960, it was almost a nuclear war started because of Cuba. So I'm glad now that they are hopefully. I was also very happy that President Obama allowed the Cubans to travel back and go over there. Because these needs to be opened up. And that's all I know about it. Thank you.
James? Almost the same question, but from a different generation. Samuel, what do you think about Cuba? What do you know about it? What do you think should happen in the future?
Thank you, Madam Tabletop Toastmaster. To make sure I understand is, what do I think about Cuba, what I know about Cuba, and where I say it's going? Cuba and the United States have had a long history of trouble, some quarrels, and just some simple rivalries, even down to the Cuban cigars. Those not being allowed by people enjoying them, and then smoking them out, all those different stuff. It's just been the little things that have added up into a big one. With the death of their leader, from what I've heard on the news, listening to various stations, whether it be 96.5 or 90.7, it's mixed emotions on the actual island, because though we have a certain perspective of freedom is king, which, in my opinion, it is, for them it was also a beloved leader. For some and others, it is now seeing that freedom, being able to conquer these new things. So understanding the different perspectives, I think, is going to be very interesting for the next generations of Cuba, because the next generation is going to be able to have free access to the information of the world, and that's going to completely shape and change the culture of Cuba. So this is going to be a very interesting time for them. Thank you.
Switching gears a little bit, I have the distinguished honor of accepting an award for Toastmasters and being able to convey a little bit about what Toastmasters has meant to me and the power that it brings by hearing such language, sometimes intimate stories, funny stories, topics that I would have never heard before. Stephany, what has Toastmasters done for you over the years, and what are your thoughts in general about being a member of this club?
Thank you, Madam Table Topics Master. Like you, each and every one has impacted my life in a good way. I continue in Toastmasters because you're my family. I have a very small family, and at the time I came to Toastmasters, it was very empty. I had just lost my only sister, and my world was very small. I had to have an outlet. I had to have people, and I had to have positive influences around me where you hear intimate stories, where you can understand other people's families, where you can become immersed in things that happen with others' lives. And therefore, I could have experiences, hear about your siblings, hear about your children. I had lost my only child some time ago. And it just helped me to develop and to carry on and to be a family person again. So I thank each and every one because you're my family.
Response, I will turn the record back to our Toastmasters for Grammarian.
Thank you. It now gives me great pleasure and also thank James Harris. He's the general evaluator. We didn't have anybody.
He's on the
So
floor.
I was signing last night. That's different. Not knowing that he was on the plane coming home. Thank you very much. You have to crawl before you walk. You know, now that I am over 50, over 60,
No way.
in my 70th year, it actually helps in the morning to actually get up and crawl across the floor a little bit, then get up. It goes back to when you was a baby. Then you get up running. All right. This is the best part of the program. We all came in as crawlers. Now we're walking and running. You get a chance now to get feedback from how you progressed. How did I do? How did I sound? What did I look like? You want to know that, don't you? Yes. And we Toastmasters are here to, guess what? Tell you. So here's the good part. We have 3 speakers. Our first speaker will be evaluated by, our first speaker was Devin Martin, who gave us speech number 2, who will be evaluated by none other than Lori Richards.
Thank you, Mr. General Evaluator, and Alex for moving because I was not going to crawl under the table. Devin's, you gave your second speech to organize your speech, and I thought it was really pertinent, useful information, so thank you for that. I like that you immediately came out from behind the lectern. You could have moved it back a little bit, but you came out and you owned the space and you made really good eye contact and you were relaxed and comfortable, and I believe when you came out it made you a little bit more relatable. So I appreciate that. And you, like I said, gave us really good, useful information. I take it from you, I shouldn't just depend on Wikipedia. That should not be my only source now. You gave us great examples of the guy who, for a living, just wrote false stories. And I appreciated the fact checker information for the general news media, how you gave us the percentages of those news places, outlets, and how that's pretty disturbing to me that I can't believe anything that anybody tells me now. So the point that you made was to check your sources, and I appreciate that. For me, And this is coming from someone who has, I have like the beginning of old lady brain, where things are, it has to be very clear for me. So the conclusion, body, and the intro, body, and the conclusion, they have to be really clear for me, or sometimes I don't catch them. And so for me, I think if you would have had just a little bit stronger of an opening, I believe you told a little bit of a story that you like doing a report when you were a kid and how we all did that. But if you would have had just a little bit more oomph, then my brain would have been able to distinguish, okay, that was his opening. But you flowed really nicely into giving us all the facts that we needed. And like I said, it was really great information. I liked that your conclusion, it was strong. To me, it was really strong. How it was short, but you said ignorance is a choice. And that, to me, was very powerful. So I think you did a really great job. I love seeing you speak. You look polished and calm, and I think you're a great asset to this club. So I look forward to your next speech.
Thank you, Lori. Our second speaker was Alexandra, and she will be evaluated by none other than Shayne Jasper.
I will not be crawling under the table because I cannot fit. Thank you, Mr. General Evaluator, Toastmasters, and guests. We don't have any guests. I have the pleasure of evaluating Ms. Alexandra Balda. And you did a fantastic job. You came up here, you were confident. I can always tell when you step up to the lectern that there's a tad bit of jitters in you, and then they're always gone within about 30 seconds. As soon as you start getting into delivering your speech, those jitters are gone because you clearly enjoy speaking, and you did a fantastic job today. You laid out very well what you were doing. I noticed, I looked, obviously, maybe you did this on purpose, you set me up to make you successful. She highlighted all of the things, obviously, that she wanted to focus on. So naturally, when I'm reading the assignment, that's where my eye was drawn, and I'm like, wow, she hit all those. Oh, that's okay. She did a fantastic job of setting the award up here so that we all could see it, and then she explained what was going on, what this award was for. I wish we wouldn't had been told who the award was going to, not by you, but by our Mr. Toastmaster, no fault of your own.
Yes.
You know, we just explained it ahead of time, because I would have loved that build up and that, you know, oh, who's it going to, and to not know who it was, but obviously a very deserving candidate. You gave a fantastic list of reasons. You went through why exactly, A, how difficult it was to make the decision, and B, why she was deserving of it. My favorite part of this was when you shared your personal story, and the reason it was my favorite part, A, it was because then we can relate to you, because we probably all had a similar experience with her. I know I did. She was my evaluator on my icebreaker. Also made me feel very comfortable and want to continue doing it, so I personally can relate to that. I also like that part of it because you weren't using your notes. And that is where I feel like you could have improved, is you used the notes a little less. During that part of it where you did deliver your personal experience, you didn't use notes, and it felt the most natural. You flowed through it the best. You weren't having to stop and look down at the paper. So that would be my only suggestion, is maybe know the material just a tad better so you don't have to check your notes as often. All in all, great delivery. We all felt exactly why she was getting that award. You delivered that excellently, and I thought it was great. So, very good job.
You left me hanging here.
Oh.
All right. You may want to try running for lecture before it runs. It helps get the energy flowing ahead of time. See how it crawls. Okay, our next speaker was Julia, and she will be evaluating by none other than Martin Bell.
fellow Toastmasters, please allow me just 30 seconds while on the topic of Fidel Castro. My best friend's uncle was tortured for many years under Castro's regime, and I think it's important to listen to what people have to say who were actually there. And so before his recent passing, he shared with his family his thoughts on Castro, and the word that came to his mind was forgiveness. He forgave Fidel, and forgave the regime, because he's so thankful for the life that he's had here in the United States of America. And so I think with Fidel's passing, and with the holiday season here, it's prudent for all of us to consider forgiveness in our lives for people who have wronged us in the past. Now on to Julia. Thank you, Julia. The objective of her speech was to accept an award with dignity, grace, and sincerity, and to acknowledge those who helped her and recognize the importance and the work of the presenting organization. And I think Julia hit on all points. In terms of how effectively Julia expressed gratitude to the organization presenting the award, you immediately faced and turned and acknowledged Alexandra and Toastmasters, and you kept the focus on others, which I think is always going to be positively received by the audience. It demonstrates humility. And I think you've actually done this in real life before, no? Perhaps? Accepting the award on behalf of Toastmasters.
Yes.
Yes, so she's done it. She's done it before. How did you recognize the organization presenting the award? Julia did a great job throughout her speech actually naming names. I think she went through at least 4 or 5 folks, looking them in the eye and giving them thanks as well, which is always appropriate. How sincere was Julia in her thanks and gratitude? I don't know. I don't know if you were sincere. Maybe you were making up that sincerity.
Check your source.
That was my lame attempt to get a chortle out of this huge phrase. Of course you were sincere. Of course you were sincere. Did you appear comfortable and gracious while accepting the award? Of course. You smiled throughout and showed how happy you were to receive the award throughout the speech. Now, what could be done to improve the speech next time? Did anybody watch the 4x100 Olympics, the USA Olympics in the summer?
Yes.
Anybody watch that? James? Yes? What happened? Handoff. The handoff.
Yes, right.
Anybody know the story of the 4x100 men's relay, USA? For the last how many times in the Olympics have they failed to get the gold medal? It's all in the handoff. And if you saw the actual handoff, Alexandra went to hand off the trophy. Julia put her hands up to receive the trophy. Alexandra held back the trophy. And Julia removed the hands. Just like the 4x100 Olympics, really. So it's all in the handoff. I think a smoother transition on the handoff would have kept that a perfect 10. But all in all, I thought you did a great job. Thank you, Julia.
Great job, Mark. Now for the general evaluations, I have a full team here. And I believe I will begin with the Grammarian, in case there are any R's. Steve Morgan.
Mr. General Evaluator, the use of the word of the day, which we had mentioned it to be chortle, but then of course several people weren't here to hear that when we actually introduced it. I heard the word come from Ernst twice, Alexandra once, and Martin once. The rest of you owe a quarter, except for Barbara and Stacey, who didn't even get a chance to speak today.
What if you chortled? Does that count?
I said the word when I introduced it.
Yeah, he did.
Yeah, there we go.
It hadn't been introduced yet. In terms of the use of the English language, very interesting today. Devin, I don't know what doing some scrubs means. Sorry, I have no clue. I love that you pronounced biases correctly, so many people don't catch that because you look at it and you want to go biases, but biases with the proper pronunciation of the word in plural. Bit of opinionated stuff. Eliminate the stuff.
Yeah.
Alexandra, you started a sentence with not only. Typically, when you start a phrase with not only, there should be a but also. And that never came. There was never, the second half of the phrase never came up with but also. This selection process. I figured out afterwards, I going, oh, you meant this selection process. But it sounded to me when you said it as this election process, which got me went, wait, what? Otherwise, you were doing great with your enunciation. That one was just a very interesting combination there. Teryl loved the use of myriad. James, Iron Age.
Oh. Right. I got stuff.
Might be pushing it a little far back. Samuel, all those different stuff. First of all, eliminate the stuff. Second of all, stuff is singular, not plural. So it's all that different stuff, not all those. Yes, grammarian is supposed to be checking grammar.
That's right. Good
That's
job.
why we hate you as a grammarian.
For all that stuff.
And of course, none other than James likes to use none other than a lot.
Right statement.
Lori in the evaluation using a lot of for me, to me, I think, which is often, well, many people say, a great way to do evaluations, keeping it self-opinionated, which sounds kind of strange when you put it that way. A little more oomph. We need more oomph around here. The substitution, interjecting outlets, replacing places when you had to think of the word for a while, which I guess was the old lady brain going on for
Old lady brain.
You were describing intro, body, close, and opening.
Yes.
There is a difference between intro and opening. The introduction is what the Toastmaster says about you or your speech. The opening is what you say to begin your speech. And a lot of times I see people saying the introduction when they mean the opening. And the two are distinct and you should use them both. Plan your introductions. Shayne with his jitters. I love that. And where you left James hanging, James was not the only one you left hanging because when you give us an A, give us the B. You're going to enumerate because you gave a list and you started A but never gave us the B.
Maybe just meant a thing, as in singular.
As Martin can
I have
tell you,
a note for you.
as Martin can tell you, it's all in the handoff. Please make sure we get the rest of it.
Oh, that makes me chortle.
Martin, great use of the, well, not Marty, great use of the word allotment. And then we have Ernst. You were well ahead of our time. Fun use of language there. Pronouncing Fidel as Fidel was quite interesting to hear.
Fetal position.
Yes. And of course, please pronounce the word shipped. Pronounce the P and the T.
Shipped.
Because otherwise, we're going to think you're full of something else. Mr. General Writer.
Great job, Mr. Grammarian. Well, I'll counter.
Thank you. Devin, you have 4 uhs, 3 so's, 1 double clutch. Julia, you're pretty clean, just 1 and. Alexandra, 3 double clutches. Ernst, 1 2 double clutches. Teryl, 3 uhs. James, 2 double clutches. Sam clean, Steph clean. Lori, 11 ums. 1 like, 1 double clutch, and 1 and. Shayne, 1 like, 1 lip smack, and Martin, 4 ums, 1 lip smack. That's my report. Thank you.
Thank you. Now for our Thomas report. Cody Simon.
Thank you very much. Devin, between 5 and 7 minutes, 6:35. Alexandra, between 3 and 4, clearly the handoff puts you at 4:08. Julia, 5 to 7, emotions overcame you, 2 minutes, 8 seconds. For the table topics, Teryl, 1 minute 23. James Harris, 49, right in there. Samuel, 1 minute 19. Stephany, 1 minute 6. And for our evaluators, Lori, very nice, 2 minutes 49 seconds. Shayne, very nice, 2 minutes 44 seconds. And to my fellow Martin, I must chortle because for the first time in my experience here, the evaluation was longer than the speech. 3 minutes and 29 seconds. That is my report.
The general evaluation comments, the meeting started on time. Everybody Mr. Toastmaster did a good job of filling in all the roles. And I noticed that Bailey and Stephany came in late, both wearing red. That's how you start rumors, right?
This is like a plans. We just have that connection.
Any other general comments? Now, the floor is open. Otherwise, I will return to the program. Yes.
I would like to suggest that the penalties for ahs and ums be $1 instead of 5 cents.
Oh.
Because A, I never carry change, and I always overpay anyways, and B, we want to get rid of those. So if it's heavily penalized, we are less likely to ahs, ums, and C, the club would make a little bit more money, and maybe we can get sandwiches or something like that.
Shayne is actually right. There are clubs that do the 5 cents, and once you make your CC, it goes to 10 cents, and DTMs pay a quarter.
So is that a second to the motion?
Except for the DTM part, it's very clear. No, you can, because it will help you. Or where's the clicker? If you use the clicker, is the clicker still in there?
It's not working.
Yeah, click it.
I have a bell that you can borrow if you like. You say, oh, it goes ding, ding.
Use the taboo buzzer. That's what my other buzzer is.
Yeah.
Any other comments?
Yes, and I'm creating my own crucifix here. But since it seems to be more so for me, I feel like that I can actually put this forward. I love Shayne's idea of the $1, but instead of doing it for the ahs and ums, let's do it for tardiness. Because one, you're gonna make so much money off $1 a minute, and 2, because I am not the only one that has this, becoming a better leader, staying on time, keeping those schedules is something that's important. I would say if it's not 5 minutes early, you do the 5 cents fine. But if you are late, then I would move it to the $1.
Okay. So I want you to assess Bailey $1 and Shayne $1.
We'll bring that up.
Shayne $2. Mr. Toastmaster.
No.
President. Sorry, Madam President.
If we did Shayne's thing, I would owe $14.
But you think twice about it next time.
Yeah, I not speak at all.
Perhaps a quarter.
So we'll talk about it at the next officers meeting, but I kind of think if we charge people for being late, then people just wouldn't come at all, because they'd be like, oh, we're late, let's just go have breakfast here, and then not even come in the meeting.
So $5 for missing.
I don't think so.
You think?
No, I wouldn't want to come in if they got that far. The door, they would come on in.
We don't have any guests today, otherwise I'd be welcoming them. The only thing I asked most people that were here early if the 17th is a good day for a party. Yes?
Is that a Saturday, Sunday?
It's a
Saturday. Yes? No?
Yes.
Yes?
We're actually having an ugly sweater party at my house on the 17th that you guys are welcome to join. You are required to wear an ugly sweater and you are required to enjoy drinking.
Oh,
But otherwise, you're welcome to join.
What, is it evening?
Evening, yeah.
Evening.
Well, what about Friday night and just doing meetings somewhere?
Well, Carrie's hosting, I think.
well, we could even, yeah, we could even do where
So we could
just
We
everybody
can do a
just.
bunch of stuff.
Go party hopping?
Yes, we can do a bunch
Well,
of
we
stuff.
can
Round
just
robin,
meet somewhere
whatever.
and have a beer and then be on our.
Well, she wants to do Friday at her house, so we can all
She said
do
anything.
Shayne's ugly sweater party.
We can do the ugly, we can do that, we can go to Ruth Chris and eat their hors d'oeuvres.
We did that one, yeah, that
We
was
did
nice.
that one time. It was a long time ago.
Don't pick it up. Just kidding,
Uh,
just kidding.
Okay, so
No, I actually thought there
we'll
were-
send out an email
An email.
or, don't check your emails.
Yeah.
Is it, or is it better that I
Text is more
text you
effective.
because
I
I
check
do a lot of
both.
texting.
Oh, okay.
Um,
So for her text, or, or excuse me, for her email, me text.
Okay, email or text. All right, so next week we have Toastmaster Carrie Bird, speakers Ethan, Rich, and me. Table topics Ernst, General Evaluator Macarena, Evaluator Julia Kaufman, Gus Davies, Sam Bailey. I'll counter Stephen Morgan, Grammarian Stacy, Timer Teryl. Everybody sound good? Okay, and we're just a little bit past schedule, so meeting's adjourned.
Don't forget to pay, please.
Yeah.
Good all, okay.
Please.